for bringing us all together and organizing this webinar on how SMEs can raise capital and get listed on the exchanges. Special thanks to Mr. Shubhajit Roy for coordinating the entire event. So before I start, I would just like to share my screen. So I hope my screen is visible.
Visible.
Okay. So just to give you a brief of the platform and how the journey had started, what was the thought behind launching of a platform where the small and medium enterprises can raise equity capital and get listed on the stock exchanges. So in 2008, in the finance budget speech, the finance minister said that why not we look at a platform where small and medium enterprises can raise capital from and get listed on the stock exchanges. So finally, after due deliberation with the ministry and the regulator, that is SEBI, the exchanges were permitted in 2010 to launch a platform with certain guidelines. And finally, in 2012, we have launched the NSE Emerge platform. This is a platform for exclusively for the small and medium enterprises where they can get listed and they can raise capital from. So the first company which got listed in this platform of ours was Tejo Engineering. They had done a fundraising of around 19 CR at that point in time, that is in the year 2012. So this platform is basically regulated by SEBI, same as the capital market segment. And there's a separate segment in NSE for the SME companies, while in the sense that NSE has a whole capital market segment. And in that capital market segment, there is a main board where you have companies like Reliance, ITC, Infosys, etc. traded. And there is a SME exchange, which is called as an NSE Emerge, where the SME companies are gets traded. But the mechanism is same. So like you can give a call to your broker and you can buy, say, 100 shares of ITC. In similar fashion, you can give a call to your broker and buy any SME listed companies. So the trading members, the brokers, everything is same. Even the merchant bankers are also same. Any SME companies which wants to opt for the equity route in India and wants to raise equity capital and get listed, they have to appoint a category 1 merchant banker. So this is a small snapshot of how the SME exchange is doing. So the number of companies listed in the SME platform currently is around 224. And the market capitalization of these companies are around 24,850 crore. So just to give you a view, during 2017-18, you can go back and check the market cap of these companies were around 8,000 to 10,000 crores. But in a span of 3 to 4 years, the market cap has become around 25,000 crores. So this clearly shows how well the SME companies have been doing since the last 3-4 years. The total capital raised by the SME companies in this platform has been around 3,300 crores. And there are large number of sectors. We are completely welcoming to all the sectors. So there are more than 20 sectors from which companies are listed in the NSE Emerge platform, like textile, manufacturing, IT, services, etc. And around 79 companies have got migrated to the main board. So there is an automatic migration policy as well, which we are going to discuss in the subsequent slides. So this is how the journey of a company happens, and I will show you where NSE Emerge stands. So usually when we talk about SME companies, they are largely proprietorship companies or partnership or even private companies. So usually these companies are promoter owned. They have their own capital, the capital of the family and friends when they do business. When an SME company gets into the early stage of growth, they avail various loans, debt, and bank borrowings, etc. But the fundamental part about getting loan is that it requires collateral, and there's a limitation of how much an SME company can take loan and how much collateral they can provide. So when the company gets into a growing phase, that is the time when a company looks into equity as an option. In the sense that every company has that in mind, that one day I want to become debt free and I want to have equity as the capital. So there is where NSE emerge comes into the picture. At that point in time, the companies can either go for private equity or they can get listed in the NSE emerge platform. As I was telling you, this platform had started in 2012. So prior to 2012, the SME companies had really no options to avail equity, because there was only main board. And we all know that in main board, the issue size is around 150, 200 crore minimum. And an SME company might not require 150, 200 crore. They might require 5, 10, 15 crore. So how do they avail that kind of an equity? So that is where NSE Emerge stands. And now, since the platform is there, the SME companies can come to the platform and raise even 5, 10 or 15 crore of equity as per their requirement, getting listed in the platform. They can also avail private equity, but we all know that private equity comes with its own conditions and various challenges. There are various obligations which SME companies would have towards the private equity investor. There are many times the private equity investor puts exit clauses where after 3 years, the company might be required to buy back its own shares at a higher price. So any company which is looking into a growth stage, any company which wants to get debt free in future, they want to avail to equity route, and once they are listed, they can definitely go for further equity raising through follow-on public offer, rights issues, etc. This is where we try to place the NSE Emerge platform. So once the company is listed in the NSE Emerge platform, after 2 years, the companies are automatically migrated to the main board, where they get all the attentions of the retail investors, the mutual funds, the various institutions and all. Of course, they have to fulfill certain criteria to get migrated, which we are going to discuss in the subsequent slides. Now, when we talk about the eligibility criteria of getting listed on the SME platform, many companies might think that they have to be registered with under the MSME Act in order to get listed on the SME platform of a stock exchange. But actually, it is not so, because SEBI has defined the eligibility criteria. The eligibility criteria is very simple. Any company which has less than 10 crore post-issue paid up capital will get listed in the SME board only. Any company which has post-issue paid up capital between 10 crore to 25 crore can get listed either in the SME board or in the main board. And however, any company which has more than 25 crore post-issue capital, they have to compulsorily get listed on the main board. So by this criteria, like many companies would qualify to get listed on the SME platform of NSE. But NSE wanted to be very, very particular in listing companies, because people find that there's a different reputation and prestige attached to companies which are listed on the NSE, that is in the National Stock Exchange. There's a high premium they kind of enjoy. So that is why NSE has certain additional eligibility criteria. They are fairly simple. What we do is we look into the last 3 years operational history of the company. So In SME, we have seen, the companies can even be proprietorship firm or partnership firm or private company. So we consider the last 3 years operational history of the proprietorship or private firm as well. We look into the operational profitability, that is profit at the EBITDA level of the company should be at least having a positive EBITDA in 2 years out of the last 3 financial year. Now, before the pandemic, we used to look positive EBITDA of the last 2 years, but we know that the SME companies are facing a lot of challenges. There are many SME companies which would have otherwise be eligible to get listed and raise equity capital, but they're unable because of the challenges they have faced during the pandemic. So that is why NSE has suitably revised the eligibility criteria. And now we look at the positive EBITDA for 2 years out of the last 3 financial years. And third is the company should be a positive net worth company. So this is the eligibility criteria for listing on the NSE Emerge platform. So talking about the difference between main board and the SME board, there are various advantages which the SME companies enjoy being getting listed on the SME board. To start off with, when a main board IPO comes, there has to be minimum 1,000 allottees. But for an SME company, which might be based on a region like West Bengal, and not many investors across the country might know about the company, the minimum allottees has been kept at only 50, vis-a-vis 1,000 for a main board IPO. There has to be a dilution of 25% to the public. The DRHP, that is the draft red herring prospectus, the offer document, etc., remains the same. So as per the regulators' rule, an SME company has to appoint a category 1 merchant banker, which will help the company to prepare the offer document. The draft red herring prospectus will help the company to raise capital and will help the company in the entire journey. There is no grading requirement, which is there in an SME IPO, but in the main board, you will find that most of the companies, the investors require a grading when a main board IPO comes. One fantastic advantage in an SME IPO is that it has to be 100% underwritten, and there will be a market maker. Now, what is 100% underwriting? Suppose a main board IPO comes and it gets subscribed, say 60-70%, then there is an option for the company to withdraw the IPO, and the money has to be returned to the applicants. But in case of an SME board, if an SME IPO comes, it has to be 100% underwritten. There has to be underwriter. So if there is a subscription to the SME IPO of only say 60 or 70%, the remaining part has to be subscribed by the underwriter. And it will be mentioned in the offer document that who the underwriter is going to be. So this is a very big advantage which the SME companies have. Another advantage is market making. Now in SME segment, the lot size of application, both in the primary market as well as in the secondary market, while you're trading, is around 1 lakh rupees value. So since the lot size is 1 lakh rupees, there has to be a market maker. So what is market making? Any registered broker who is registered with SEBI can act as a market maker. The market maker's work would be that 75% of the market hours, that is if NSE is trading for say 6 to 7 hours a day, Monday to Friday, the market maker has to be there for at least 75% of the timing, that is for around 4.5 hours. And the market maker has to give both buy quote as well as sell quote for the SME company. This will ensure that there is liquidity in the stock, and any retail investor, any investor who wants to buy the shares or sell the share will find a opposite buyer or seller for that particular trade. So there would be market making for 3 years till the company goes to the main board. Next is compliances. There are a lot of relaxations for SME companies in terms of compliances vis-a-vis a main board company. So a main board company like Infosys or Reliance, etc., they have to publish their the accounts on a quarterly basis. but a SME company can only publish its accounts on a half-yearly basis. So there's this relaxation is there. Otherwise, the corporate governance norms, etc., are more or less the same. As I was telling you, the best feature of an SME listing in the SME platform is that a SME company gets migrated to the main board automatically after 2 years, provided that the paid up equity capital of the company is more than 10 crore and the market cap is more than 25 crore. So they can get migrated to the main board, and once they're migrated to the main board, they can trade in the same platform as the big companies like Hindustan Unilever or Nestle or Infosys or other companies trade. Investors, as I was telling you, the lot size which has been determined by the regulator is minimum 1 lakh during the IPO application, and the trading lot size is also 1 lakh. So if the company the share price is around say 50 rupees, then accordingly the quantity will be such that the lot size is 1 lakh in value. So this is how the journey of a company happens if the company wants to get listed on the SME platform. At first, the company can have an interaction with the National Stock Exchange team members. At NSE, we tell the company the entire procedure of getting listed, what is the entire rules, regulations, etc., and all. Then the company can appoint a merchant banker. The regulator has said that an SME company has to appoint a category 1 merchant banker. So the merchant banker helps the company in raising the capital. It helps the company in preparing the offer document, the draft red herring prospectus. It helps the company in appointing various intermediaries under it, and the entire handholding is done by the merchant banker. Once the company fixes the merchant banker, there's a mandate which the company has to sign with the merchant banker. Thereafter, the work starts. The merchant banker, as you can see in step 3, helps the company prepare the entire offer document. The offer document, the DRHP, is largely a 250-300 page document where the entire history of the company is put into in those 250-300 pages, and the offer document is filed with NSE. When a main board IPO comes, the offer document has to be filed both with NSE as well as SEBI. But in case of an SME IPO, the offer document can only be filed with NSE, and NSE has its own compliance team. So it's a separate compliance team which will go through the entire offer document, and if all the documents are in order, NSE will issue an in-principle approval to the issue, and the company can come up with an IPO anytime within 12 months on receiving the in-principle approval. When an IPO comes, the IPO is open for a minimum of 3 days and a maximum of 10 days, and the company gets listed after 6 working days of closure of the IPO. So that is how the entire journey happens. It is largely a 3 to 4 months process, and the expenses of an SME IPO is far, far lesser than a main board IPO. So if I meet a large number of SME companies across the eastern region, and most of the promoters ask, why should I actually get listed? Or when we tell about the advantages, the biggest advantage is that we have seen with SME companies with not only proprietorship or partnership, even with private companies, that the equity shares which they have, the share certificates, are largely kept in the locker, and it has no value. Every year during Diwali, they take out the share certificate and they do a puja and again keep it back in the locker. There's no value which they attach to the share certificate. So once the company gets listed, it will create an additional asset called equity. From a book value driven company, it will become a market value driven company. So today, if you ask an SME company which is not listed, what are your assets? They will only say that I have land and plant and machineries and etc. things, but they cannot say that they have equity as an asset. However, like once they get listed, their entire market cap journey starts. And there are various advantages they enjoy being a listed entity. The first, if you go for the value proposition for the listed companies, the first is raising of capital. They can opt for the equity route, because most of the SMEs, they go for debt, they go for bank borrowing, etc. They furnish collaterals, but they, once they get listed, they can avail to the equity route. They can raise equity, and this will give them an option to become debt free if they want in future. Because even if they keep on going through the debt route, they will exhaust the collateral one day. So we have seen that once the company is listed, they can pledge their shares as collateral and take further loan. So they are creating an additional asset to put as collateral, to put as pledge and raise loan. Secondly, once the company is listed, after being listed, being in the stock exchange, if the company wants to raise capital in future, the company can come up with a follow-on public offer or a rights issue, etc. And they can keep on raising equity n number of times. Second is higher visibility. We have seen that the companies which are listed, they enjoy interest rate benefits of at least 1 to 1.25%, because banks, etc., gives a better interest rate to listed companies vis-a-vis an unlisted company. The credibility of the companies goes up. The companies enjoy very good valuations. Once the company probably gets listed in the SME platform, the valuation is not that much. But once the company keeps, is there in the exchange, listed for 2-3 years, goes to the main board, the valuation enhances significantly. The company follows corporate governance and becomes professional management, and automatically once they go to the main board, the company comes into the limelight of various mutual fund houses, HNIs, institutional investors who would like to invest in the company and who would like to be a part of the company's growth phase. Other advantages are in terms of liquidity. As I was saying, the company has n number of ways to raise funds in future. The company gets better loan terms, better borrowing terms. There are opportunities for merger and acquisition. So if a company which is listed, if it wants to acquire another company, rather than paying them in money terms, it can pay them in cash terms, in shares terms. So there can be a share swap, as we have seen in case of Kotak Mahindra Bank and ING Vasa. Listed companies attract high caliber employees. They can give ESOPs, etc. And as I was telling you, and then what happens, the company has access to wider capital. So if any companies you come across which are which is in a growth phase and which can see that it can grow in the next 2 to 5 years, then it will be very good if the company gets listed and shows its growth not only in the books but also in the market, so that the valuation of the companies appropriately goes up. So all those professionals who are there in today's webinar, if you're a chartered accountant or a company secretary, you can also bring a lot of change in the entire process, in the sense that if you can identify companies which are in the growth phase, and if you think that it will be good if the company goes for an IPO and raise equity, then you can also help us connect to those companies, where we can tell the companies about the benefit of getting listed. As a professional, you can provide the company's IPO consultation services and corporate governance services, etc. So there are various initiatives which we undertake at NSC to spread the awareness among the companies that how they can get listed and how they can raise equity capital. We have association with various industrial associations and bodies like Eastern Chamber of Commerce. We do webinars like these, meetings like this, and tell the companies the advantages. And we have tie-up with various government, state government bodies, with MIDC, GIDC, with MSME institutes, industry associations, banks, etc. So the idea is that SME companies which are availing only debt and only taking loan tell them that you also have an option of having access to equity. And believe me, when I come across the SME companies, there are many companies which says that I have a vision of getting debt free in the next 3 years or in the next 5 years. But they should be told that there's an option and there's a method and procedure to do that. And we at NSC and chamber bodies like yours can definitely spread this awareness. Very interesting thing that I will give you a small introduction of our Nifty SME Emerge Index. So this is an index which we had launched in 2017. This is thematic index. This SME Emerge Index basically shows the performance of the SME companies which are listed on the NSC's Emerge platform. This is not a tradable index like Nifty. It is only viewable, but nevertheless, it captures the performance of the companies. So these are our contact details. We have presence almost in all the state capitals, and we try to connect with chamber bodies, institutions, companies, etc., and give them the much needed solution of equity if they want to avail that. So these are my contact details. You can take a note of it in case if you want to contact me with any queries in future. And now I would like to hand over the proceedings to Mr. Parth Shah.
Before that, let me come in. Before Mr. Parth takes over with his presentation, if there are any questions from Mr. Obi Gupta, you may kindly direct it now before I move forward to the next speaker. So if you have any questions, kindly unmute yourself and put it forth for Mr. Gupta. If there are no questions, then maybe after post your presentations, we will take in the questions. A small introduction of our next speaker, Mr. Parth Shah, who's a Director, Merchant Banking, has been the brainchild behind the Merchant Banking Division of Srini Shares Private Limited. His focus areas are valuation, SME listing, open offers, and corporate advisory. He has the total work experience of 7 years in capital markets. Earlier worked as a Vice President of Hemp Investment Banking Division for 2 years. Previous to that, worked as an Associate Vice President of Pantomat Group focused on SME listing for 2 years. This MBA graduate from BSE Institute Limited has a diversified and immense expertise in the working of the SME sector. He has previously worked in BSE Limited for 2 years in the SME department. Apart from this, being a Mumbai University topper at BMS, qualifications like CMT USA, CAT Certified Algorithmic Trader from Atma have added to his laurels. Over to you, Mr. Shah.
Okay, thank you so much for your nice introduction. And I think you can hear me well.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, I would like to thank you, the chamber for inviting me for speaking on such an elaborative topic. And I think Avik has taken it, the presentation quite well, so that my role is limited to merchant banking section. I would just give a glimpse of what are the myths and what is the reality as far as SME listing is considered. So see, we have seen the regulatory part of it, and we are aware that how the regulation works out. But there are a lot of myths that actually is not there, but we think that it's present. So I'll just take you through some of myths. My compliances are going to increase once I'm getting listed. So this is a question that I've got from almost all the entrepreneurs. So in this last journey of 10 years, we've interacted more than like 5,000 entrepreneurs. So they think that post listing, the compliance is going to go up, my cost will go up. And overall, I have to hire a lot of people to ensure that compliance isn't met. People are really tired of, they say that now, like earlier there was GST, then income tax, and now there is one more department that is listing. But trust me, what happens is post listing, if this compliances that has been like LODR compliances as per listing regulations are being met, it makes the business cycle very easy. So now what does they say that 6 monthly you have to report to stock exchange with your half yearly results. So now at least in half year basis, we have an idea where we have reached and what next. So this compliance are not that great. It's the only thought that we have that yes, this compliance are going to stop me. I don't see any great compliances. All the compliances of private limited company are as good as them now. Since implementation of Companies Act, as such, there is no great difference between like private limited company and a limited listed entity. Only listing obligations will increase. Rather than that, all the other compliances remain the same. Second myth that comes is why should we go for an SME? We should go for directly main board. And like sometime back only I had got an entrepreneur so the company size was like, he was around like 100 crore turnover. He was thinking like, I should wait for a year or so and I'll go directly for main board. Why should I go for an SME? So I'll tell you one thing. If you get listed on SME, the cost of listing is 10% as compared to that of the main board. So now, plus the timing that is required over here, the time period is around 3 months. On main board, minimum time period is 6 to 8 months. So time period, cost of listing, ease of listing. So now what happens is once you plan for main board, the minimum transaction size has to be like between, well, there is no transaction size being determined by stock exchanges and regulators, but usually any merchant banker, any investment banker who is taking the proposal, he would like at least need 50 to 100 crore of transaction to start the process with, which less than that will not fit for main board. So what is the benefit is you can get listed on an SME, and as Avik explained earlier, that after 2 years you can directly migrate to the main board. So out of these companies that were shared by Avik, a lot of people have already migrated to the main board of stock exchange. I think 70 companies have already gone from NSE merge to the NSE main board, more than 70 companies to be very precise. So you must see that already 1/3 companies are migrating and others are in process. As they complete 2 years, they will easily migrate. There is no as such difficult process of migration. It's just the application and stock exchanges provide the approval. So that's the crux of the system, that you're getting the same listing over a period of 2 years time. And we get ready. Means like once, like it's like a kindergarten. If you want to go to the school, we are going in kindergarten, and after that we get ready for the main board. Now, what is market making as a concept? What happens is a lot of people have misinterpreted that market maker is a person who is going to increase the price. We can tell him market maker or market stabilizer. Both things are the same. So now market maker is a person who is going to stabilize the price. Now growth of any company is only determined by the financials. Means like if you are not going to, your financials, your company is not growing, market maker cannot do anything. He cannot control the price. He is not the person who is going to go make the prices up or make the prices down. Because see, overall as a concept, this has been only provided to ensure that there is enough liquidity in the system, so that investors who want to enter, they can enter, and other people who want to exit, they can exit. But as a market maker, he will not decide the price. It has been decided by your fundamentals only. Because I would say market will discount each and every information. As an investor fraternity, they are much smarter than all market makers and promoters combined all together. So that's one more myth. Another unique question that comes in, that we don't require funds right now. Means many of the promoters come and say that abhi to we don't want funds. We have enough liquidity. Why should we get listed? But eventually, over a period of 2-3 years, there will be capex. There will be fund requirement. So this listing is going to set up a financial plant and machinery. Now, even if we don't get listed now, and when we require funds, that point of time we plan listing, and at that point of time markets are not that great, so we may or may not be able to raise in funds. But if you have already a financial plant and machinery in place, then raising funds is easy. And if we must see the market cap, as one unique slide that Avik was referring to is the market cap of all these companies put together. See the fundraise and the market cap gap. So overall, it's almost 10 times. Means like what is happening is the value, a lot of value creation has happened post listing. So that's one more positive thing that happens post listing. At this point of time, we don't realize and we don't know our real price, but post listing things can change. So that is one another misconception. Business confidentialities and my secrets getting revealed. Somebody going to do my takeover. Nothing like this happens. Trust me, a lot of people have a misconception that like if I get listed now, some bigger player will come and take over my business. See, the regulators have made the takeover code so simpler that if anybody acquires more than 25%, then he has to give an open offer. So one person acquiring the entire public float is quite, it's next to impossible according to me. So that's quite difficult if you're diluting minimum percentages. So as such, and in the history of last 10 years of SME listing, there is no hostile takeovers that has happened. Yeah, friendly open offers have happened, but no hostile takeovers. So that's also one thing, that takeover not going to happen. And confidentiality means like there are some things that we don't want to disclose. Means example, there is some secrets formula that the company is manufacturing. You don't have to disclose that in prospectus. Nothing like that will going to come out. So your confidential things will be confidential. Obviously, goes without saying. So these are some of the points that that usually comes to any entrepreneur's mind while he is going to list. So if we see, are these things going to stop us from listing? I don't think so. These are the points to be thought over. Only thing is has to be discussed with the right people. Then probably we can get a broader view over it. This is just a statistical thing. I think Avik has given a brief background. I'll just take this slide a little more. So now SME and main board, what is the difference? So now on SME platform, you require 50 allottees at the time of IPO. Post-issue paid up capital requirement, you can be minimum has to be 1 crore and maximum has to be 25 crore on SME. Lot size, yes, lot size of 1 lakh rupees is there, and underwriting. So if you see, underwriting of 100% is mandatory as far as considered. So it's the merchant banker who is going to underwrite. So why merchant banker is going to underwrite? Because the person who has worked with the company for, let's say, 3 to 4 months, he realized that yes, this company has good fundamentals and he can probably grow. So the merchant banker only becomes the underwriter and he underwrites the books. Minimum 15% is mandatory. Over and above that depends from company to company. So as compared to main board, and one more important thing that is not mentioned over here is I'd like to cover is 15 crores of operating profit. So now any company who wants to get listed on main board requires 15 crores of operating profit for 3 out of 5 years on main board. But on SME, it's not there. So see the regulatory surplus that has been provided to ensure that more and more SMEs come forward for listing. And one more important thing, offer document is vetted by the stock exchange itself. So if you see the stock exchange provide approval within 15 to 20 days. So that's also quite positive thing as we compare to the main board. Now, what is the benefit of listing? Why should somebody get listed on SME exchange? See, overall, if some entrepreneur comes and asks me, boss, benefit kya hai? And why should we get listed? So I give him 1 point answer. What is the net worth of your company? So example, the net worth of the company is 20 crores, right? And the next question I ask him, what do you think your current your company's valuation is? So he says that minimum 200 crores, right? So what the only objective of listing should be to bridge the gap between 20 crores and 200 crores. What do you actually think and what is there on books? If you bridge the gap and if whatever you think and is the same thing that market also obliges, then that's the value of market wealth creation. So overall, that's how wealth gets created for all the promoters. So that's one thing that that is the most important thing. Value maximization can only happen in stock market. Apart from that, branding and recognition that comes is liquidity is one thing that I would agree at this point of time. A lot of entrepreneurs have there is a lot of liquidity available on the stock exchange now. The stock exchanges are today also hit a lifetime high, so they can sell their shares and they can create liquidity if there is some working capital requirement, or they can pledge the shares with some NBFCs or banks to raise a temporary liquidity for themselves. So example, your market cap is around 100 odd crores, you own 75%, 75 crores of, and you require 10 crores immediately. So you can pledge your around 30% shares with NBFCs or banks, and you can easily raise the 10 crores without collateral. Your shares act as a collateral. So after 1 year of listing, NBFCs and some banks accept this shares as collateral. So that's also quite positive thing for an SME. You're creating an asset altogether. So that's also one big benefit for all the investors. Simple thing. Migration is, we have taken trading lot. We have, I think Avik has already dealt with. One more thing is trading time. So now what happens is everybody thinks that this is this the same exchange that we are going to get listed? So everything remains the same. You will trade on the same NSE screen. All the brokers of the stock exchange remain the same. There is no distinction. There is nothing difference between that. Only difference is there is a group difference, and that is also an internal stock exchange thing. Nobody knows that this is an SME and this is main board. All the scripts are traded likewise. So that's also one big thing for any company to get listed. Now, minimum dilution, that one has to understand is minimum 25% has to be diluted plus 1.25% has to be diluted to the market maker. So this minimum dilution has to happen. Over and above that, whatever the entrepreneur thinks, they can dilute. Simple process. What is the step wise thing? I think this slide will give us a better detail about how this happens. So these are the 5 stages. If pre-IPO, due diligence by the merchant banker, preparing offer document, appointment of intermediaries, filing of offer document to stock exchange, and IPO process, and listing. Simplified process for next 4 months whenever a company wishes to start. Some roadblocks that's going to come. One thing is conversion to a public limited company. It takes some time to get converted. And second is restatement of financials. So restatement has to happen to the nearest, means example, at the time of opening the issue, the financials cannot be older than 6 months. So now if we have done restated financials of March 21, then now it's September is getting closed and you want to open the issue, that you have to get your June audit also done. So that's one thing. Board composition is also important. 50% of the board has to constitute of independent directors, and at least one movement director should be on the board. In audit committee, there should be one literate who has any background with financial management. So, and company secretary and CFO is there, should be there. So you can make your people in accounts with legitimate experience as CFO, and you have to appoint a company secretary on your payrolls. So that is one more thing. Overall, due diligence process means it covers the entire framework from the day company is listed till date. How the company has been, are there any cases, are there, have you paid your bank loan, how the company has fared over a period of time, how are they paying to their suppliers, what is the payment terms, how is the business cycle, are the companies taking any entries. So all that has to be covered in due diligence phase. So that comes once the process starts, and it's around 15-20 days of time. Once that is done, then we start making the offer document. So this is a draft prospectus that has to be prepared. Once the draft prospectus is prepared, we can submit it to the stock exchange along with the due diligence report. So due diligence report is a report that has to be submitted to SEBI and stock exchange, stating that what diligence we did, what are our observations? Is there any negative observation or not? These are all intermediaries has to be appointed, but trust me, merchant banker is one point of contact. You don't have to contact anybody apart from your merchant banker in the entire process. Once a merchant banker is done, he will ensure that all the intermediaries are appointed. Certifications and listing. So basically, this is like there's an interview at the stock exchange, then there is a site visit done by the stock exchange officials to ensure that everything is in time. So all that is a part of the system. So once the company comes up, then this can be taken care of. This is the slide. I think it's a schedule of around 4 months of how the entire transaction will flow. I think yeah, I just will take 1 more minute before I wrap up of the company that I listed on NSE Emerge. We listed this company in 2020. Now, the value creation I was talking about, see, the company got listed with a, if you see the financials of the company was having a profitability of around 68 lakhs. In 21, the company posted a profit of 9 crores. And this year, they're already posted around a 4 crore of profit in 1 quarter. Current market capitalization is 400 odd crores. And if you see, a lot of investors have invested into this company and publicly traded very well. So see the value creation that has happened from 15 crore company, it has come to 400 crore company over a period of 1.5 years. That's the stature of value creation. This can only happen once you are listed. If you are not listed, this company would have, still the company's net worth is around 25-30 crores. So net worth cannot grow over years, but your market cap can. And it's widely traded. If you see the volumes also in there, it's like volumes are quite hefty. So it's just the journey over a period of time that we have to embrace. And I think so people who have added, they will be able to understand this in detail. So that's all about, these are my contact details. And in case there is something I can help you out with, I'll be happy to do so. Again, thanks for inviting me to put some light on this. And I think, thank you, Avik, also for joining us, for giving us a great perspective. What do you?
Thank you, Mr. Bacha. It was very illuminating, and I'm sure those who are attending and those who are going to watch the recording of this entire program shall definitely benefit from both of you. But as again, once more, a request, if there is any question for any of the two panelists, kindly unmute yourself and do put in your questions. If you have questions later on, after watching the proceedings, you can mail it to me or the president of the Eastern Chamber of Commerce, and we shall forward them to both Mr. Gupta or Mr. Shah, whoever the question is addressed to. But if you have any doubts, any queries, you can do it right now. Yes, Mr. De, you have a question.
This is HK De, Hemanta Kumar De. Can you hear me, Shoji?
Yeah, loud and clear.
This is Hemanta Kumar De. I am a owner of a small SME unit. My question to Mr. Rohit Gupta is that the process of registration, I am intending to go into this. This is whatever you have, both of you have presented is quite interesting and quite, it makes me encouraged to go for it because I hold a small SME unit. So how can I start with the process? Mr. Gupta, if I can have your details so that I can contact you and go for the subsequent.
Right, sir. Sir, I am also located in Kolkata, and I believe that your office is also in Kolkata. So I will just type my mobile number in the chat box for you as well as others. So you can just give me a call anytime today, tomorrow, whenever you are free, sir. And I can come down to your office and I can have a detailed discussion with you as to how the entire process would look. And thereafter, I can also help you to get connected with Mr. Parth, who in the merchant banking space, Mr. Parth has done a lot of SME listings. So we will we'll give you the entire brief of the process and how to start off with the first step.
So basically, my appeal to both of you, sir. It is to begin with, I just want any of your numbers so that we start the process.
Yes, yes, I have already typed my number in the chat box. So if you can just open the chat box.
And I too will share it with all the members. Since
Right.
I have your contact, Mr. Gupta, I will share your contact number with all
Right.
the members, and they can be in touch with you, and you can also get them in touch with Mr. Shah. So that won't be a problem. Yes, I'll do that. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your question, sir.
Any more questions from anyone? We still have 2 minutes to go before we wind up. So any questions that you might possibly think of, please put it across. Yes, Mr. Ghosh.
Yeah. Good evening. This is the question to Mr. Gupta or Mr. Shah, whoever wants to. You said that the process of listing will begin after 3 years of operation. Is it after completion of 3 years, or somebody can start looking at the listing prospect after 2 years?
Would you like to answer?
Yeah. I think so. 2 years of operations, if it's there, and the promoter also have a track record of more than 3 years, then I think should be fine. I don't think so that should be a trouble.
Okay.
So example, this I'm giving an example, so it puts perspective on the right page. So if you have got certificate of incorporation in September 2019, then before that will make you eligible for listing. Plus,
sorry, come again. I just missed your.
If you have your certificate of incorporation on or before September 2019, you will stand eligible.
Okay. As on today.
It's 2 years actually.
2 years.
2 years.
Okay. So that was my question basically. So after 2 years, one can go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. I think we now need to come to an end to this program. But of course, the formality, past president, Mr. Shyamasi Sen, shall offer a formal vote of thanks to all of you, and to all the guests who are here. If you have any questions, kindly forward them to me, and I will take it forward to Mr. Gupta. Thank you, and over to Mrs. Sen.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much, Honorary Secretary Shubhajit Roy, for asking me to do the honors of saying a thank you to our two esteemed panelists. Thank you, Mr. Abhik Gupta, Senior Manager from National Stock Exchange. Your presentation made me actually understand. I am not very good at all this, but I actually understood what it was all about. And it was your presentation was so lucid that even a person who doesn't understand much actually understood every point that you had explained, because you made it very clear to us how this whole process will go on. And as far as Mr. Avik Gupta of Shreni Shares Private Limited, you are the expert in this field, and thank you so much for spending time with our Eastern Chamber of Commerce.
He's Mr. Parth Shah.
Oh, Mr. Parth Shah. Sorry, Mr. Parth Shah. I should have remembered the name. So I'm extremely sorry. I apologize that I said a wrong name. And thank you so much for spending time with us and for making the presentation. And I find that two of our members have had questions. Mr. Hemanto Kumar De, he's very keen to actually get into this mode, and our treasurer Devshish, he's also asked some very valid questions. I wish there were more members today, but I suppose there are too many things happening at the same time, and that is why many of our members are not here. So I would request our secretary to, if not repeat the same program once again, but definitely invite these two wonderful gentlemen to teach us more about this entire thing. and let's ensure that we give them even better audience, larger audience, and we could even tie up with other chambers of commerce.
Yes.
There is a ladies' chamber of commerce who are doing very well now. I am kind of part of it, and I would like to tie up with them also, so that these two gentlemen will, and they are all business people, maybe some of them are also in SMEs, so we could have a good audience and they could also explain to these people and they could benefit, the ladies could benefit out of this. Thank you very much for coming and taking the trouble of speaking to us and explaining things to us. It is, our chamber is basically an MSME and SME based chamber. So this will definitely go a long way for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Zen, and thank you everyone once again. Till we meet again, thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.